Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 7th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check out Hurricane Priscilla to the bottom right, Hawaiian Islands bottom left. In our next frontal system, it is on the move, it's on the way, moving across western BC as we speak. This is going to carve out a closed low off our coastline. Multiple rounds of precipitation possible, thunderstorms are possible as well. And then we get another short wave after that, moving down as we go towards next week, and very cold air aloft, some Arctic air associated with that system. So we'll dive into all those details here as we go through the video this morning. Just a reminder, I do run California Weather Watch, and I posted a video of a storm chase we did very early this year. So go ahead and check that out and make sure to subscribe to that channel if you would, please. We just went over 40,000 subscribers. And it's not too late to get a weather station here before the weather starts to really get crazy here across the Pacific Northwest. I test 2 of these at my home, and you will not regret getting one. Very fun weather station. Click on that link down below to save 10%. So we did have some smoke out across the places west of the Cascades yesterday, and it did put a little damper on things, but it was still a very nice day. You could probably see that in the sky, and you could smell it a little bit. It was not too big of a deal. And then there's also this showing up here across Northwest Oregon. This may be a prescribed burn. Somebody check that out, because I could not see it on the wildfire map here this morning. So it could very well be a prescribed burn. But you can see the wind shift coming up here, and we start to kick that smoke back off to the east there and kind of inundating some of Chelan County up towards Okanagan County as well as we go on in through tomorrow, and then maybe on again through the day on Thursday. Now, taking a look here at the European model. So this is that system we were looking at here on the infrared satellite imagery, and you can see it moving down across the region, and this upper level low does get cut off. It's going to be a closed low, meaning it's disassociated with the polar jet north of it. I'll show you what I mean on that here in a moment. So it will be with us for a couple days, spinning multiple rounds of precipitation, thunderstorm potential even west of the Cascades with this system. And then you can see the next shortwave up there across southeast Alaska, moving down as we go through later this week. And this one is associated with some Arctic air, some very cold air aloft, moves down across Pacific Northwest on last night's European model run. And we'll take a look at the other models on that and see what kind of agreement we have here in a moment. But look at this massive ridge up across South Alaska, allowing that cold north flow to dive down over the Pacific Ocean and in turn the Pacific Northwest. And if we take a look here at the ensemble mean, let's see what kind of agreement we have. And if you've been watching the channel for long, you know that this is an average of all 50 ensemble members. We tweak the initial conditions for each and every one of those 50 ensemble members to try to correct for any errors in our understanding of the initial conditions of the atmosphere, and then we average that out. So it gives us a pretty good picture, and it's usually the best way to go off in through the mid-range of a forecast. So you can see that closed low there as we go on in through this week, and then the next short wave here. So you can see there is something to it. Big ridge out over the Gulf of Alaska. Model agreement is fairly decent as we go through this upcoming weekend with that cold air moving back down over the area. Now, taking a look at some of the timing on this precipitation as we go through the day today. This initial frontal system, it's got a little bit of a punch to it, but most of that's going to stay up into British Columbia. What we're waiting for here down across portions of western Washington and western Oregon is for this moisture to start pivoting back around. You can kind of see that southeast and northwest negatively tilted area here. Could get some lightning activity in that. It's getting a bit late in the season for widespread lightning potential, but there is some of that potential with this system as we go on in through what is that late Wednesday night, Thursday, and then you see additional rounds coming up as we go through Thursday night into Friday morning as that upper level low kind of kicks across the region. And then we bring this very chilly air mass here as we go on in towards the weekend. I mean, look at this. You can kind of see what is a very weak Arctic high setting up across some of the interior portions of British Columbia. We're not going to be getting lower elevation snow out of it or anything like that, but this is kind of the look of what, if you were in December or January, you'd be talking about some more significant impacts for some very cold air getting down into the lowlands. And you can see the subtle troughing there right off the Washington coast. Mountain snows will be possible with that system, however. Now, looking at 500 millibars, check this out. There's that cold air associated with our cold front, and you can see that just sit off our coastline. And you see how this is just totally disconnected from the main cold air there up across the northern hemisphere, and it spins with us for a couple days. And this shortwave comes and grabs it and says, "Get out of there," and it shoots its own shot of cold air at us yet again. I mean, look at that carved out. This is at 18,000 feet, very cold air aloft. Now, looking at that, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, I'm going to show you what I mean when I say closed low, because you can see that coming down off our coastline. And look at the circulation. It's just completely devoid of that polar jet to the north of it. And you can see it pinwheeling and doing the funky chicken out over the coastal waters there. And then the next short wave starts to carve out as we go through the end of the upcoming weekend. Now, total precipitation in inches, we'll take a look at this here quickly, because you can see there's going to be multiple rounds coming up across Seattle, Western Oregon, as that kicks through to bring some more precipitation. And the next system, strong onshore flow, will no doubt be bringing some additional rounds of precipitation. I mean, some of these amounts across the Cascades are up over 2 inches. Southwest BC getting a good shot of rainfall. Seattle's right around an inch as you go through Sunday night as we go through this week. So yeah, enjoy today, because we got some nice weather out there. You're going to want to enjoy that, because a huge pattern change coming as we go over the next few days and towards this weekend. And if you're out hiking, you can kind of see that east wind as you go through this morning, but that will be on the dramatic wane as we go through the day today. And by this evening, things turning back onshore. You can see the westerlies returning to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, down the Strait of Georgia. Northwest winds off the coastline there. And then you can see the next low here kind of approaching. You can see it does have a little bit of a surface response as you see some of those surface winds out there pinwheeling around that low pressure system. They'll be right off our coastline. Now, let's look at the artificial intelligence and the GFS. You got the artificial intelligence European on the left versus the GFS, a global forecast system, on the right. Let's put that into motion. Pretty good model agreement on where that close low is going to be for the next few days. Does the funky chicken moves around out there, and then the next short wave comes ripping down on the backside, the eastern periphery of that ridge, and then kind of pinwheels on us as well. And you can kind of see the differences between the GFS on the right and the European artificial intelligence, and the European deterministic is right between these two. So we have some figuring out to do on that next system, and then do the extended forecast. Who knows what's going to come? Maybe we'll start to get active again at some point in October. Now, taking a look here at daily 2-meter minimum temperature. And you can see it's starting to get a little bit chilly across some of the mountain areas we go through Friday. But look, by Saturday, Sunday, Monday, some of that very chilly air starts to move down over the region there. And you can see some of these temperatures down into the 20s, getting pretty chilly there for places like Spokane, Eastern Oregon. I mean, look at that widespread 20s out there. Monday morning, Tuesday, it stays chilly here for a bit. And what happens after that, who knows? Flip a coin. Taking a look at today, though, I mean, look at Seattle, mid-70s. You're talking about upper 70s for Portland, and some 80s out there for the lower Willamette Valley possible. And, fairly warm here east of the Cascades as well, but the warm spot, definitely Western Washington, Western Oregon. And we go through Wednesday. Look at the shift coming here. We're definitely going to be colder as we go through tomorrow. We go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Look at this. These warm temperatures are going to be a distant memory as we are in a much colder air mass, most likely, as we go on in through this upcoming weekend. Check that out. My goodness. Fall is upon us. Now, looking at the 500 millbar heights versus the GFS one more time here. I think I already kind of showed this one. This looks like a duplicate here, but you can kind of see a little bit closer look at that here as we go on in through the end of the upcoming weekend here. Now, taking a look here, this is what I wanted to show you. So this is the jet stream at 300 millibars, about 30,000 feet. Japan is to the far left. There's Alaska, and the Pacific Northwest is to the right of this image. There's the Hawaiian Islands, kind of bottom center. So put this into motion, and you can see the trough at 30,000 feet just carve out. And look at that low, even at 30,000 feet, it's just completely cut off from the polar jet to the north. That's why we call this a closed low. And then eventually it gets picked back up, and you can see the jet stream reemerge, but then this next trough carves out here, and look at this big buckle in the jet stream. Huge ridge out over the Gulf of Alaska, dives back down out of the northeast, carves itself out over the Pacific Northwest, and that one almost becomes closed look there as well. And then something interesting here through the extended forecast is this ridge extends back across Pacific Northwest. You notice how this jet stream is a lot less wavy here as we go on in towards the second half of October. That could bring some more active, more typical western flow back into the Pacific Northwest, and maybe some more active weather, but way too far to get caught up in that. Just a fantasy forecast. Now, looking at the upper levels, about 10,000 feet, northern hemisphere, you're looking at Greenland right there. There's Africa to the right, and Japan is way over here. There's the Hawaiian Islands. Pacific Northwest is down here, bottom center, where I'm circling. So you can see how the cold air is getting a bit more prevalent there across the northern hemisphere at this time of year. There is our closed low. Look at that again. It's almost like dropping an ice cube into a deep fryer at a restaurant. It just kind of sits there and goes nuts and brings us a bunch of precipitation. And Then this next short wave, that's that very cold air kind of associated with the polar vortex there, tropospheric polar vortex, spins that next one across us as well, and that would really cool us off. And if I put that into motion, you kind of see how this moves like a big, light blue and pink octopus there with its arms spinning around. That is the polar vortex here, and it gets stronger as we move on into the fall and the winter months. The direct rays of the sun, of course, are dropping south, and we cool off things dramatically across the northern hemisphere. And another look at the exact same thing, just a little bit of a closer look, and there's the closed low, and then we bring down the next shot there as well, and you kind of see that Arctic air get down into the central portions of British Columbia. Now, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, look at that, below normal signal there. That makes sense with what we just looked at, right? And then you got this mixed bag out there, 8 to 14 day. Is this updated? Let me see. It is. And again, kind of a mixed bag there as well. And yet again there. So anyway, I'll get this video out. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.